of robotics is absolutely massive, and there's a lot of different opinions about what a robot is. So, what is a robot? This is a good place to start. What a robot is has changed over time. In the past, a robot was just a clever mechanical device. An example is Leonardo da Vinci's mechanical knight. This device was developed in 1495 and is actually a really clever system of pulleys and cables that allows the robot to lift up its visor and move its arms and legs. More modern robots are much more sophisticated than that, and the definition has changed. The fact is, there's no one definition of a robot. A famous industrial robotics pioneer, Joseph Engelberger, once remarked, "I can't define a robot, but I know one when I see one." Personally, I like the definition by Maya Matarik. A robot is an autonomous system which exists in the physical world, can sense its environment, and can act on it to achieve some goals. Let's break this definition down. A robot is an autonomous system. That means that it's able to act on its own. What this means is that it's not being controlled by a human. For instance, a remote control car is not an autonomous system because there's always a human telling you exactly which direction to go in. A vacuum cleaner robot is an autonomous system. Even though its goal has been set by a human, clean the room, it makes its own decisions about how to go about doing that, which direction to take and how to travel. The next part of the definition is existing in the physical world. A robot must exist in the physical world, otherwise it's just a computer simulation or a cartoon on the television. The next part is that a robot must be able to sense its environment. If a robot can't sense its environment, it can't make any decisions about what's going on around it, and it's really quite dumb. And finally, it has to act on the information it gets from its environment to achieve some goals. A toy robot, while really cool and fun to play with, doesn't actually achieve any goal. Let's apply this definition to some systems you might be familiar with. We're going to use a table to do this. A robotic vacuum cleaner is autonomous, it makes its own decisions, it exists in the physical world, it senses, acts, and uses goals. So this means that it is a robot. A remote control car exists in the physical world, but it's not autonomous, which means it's not a robot. A car also exists in the physical world, it has sensors on it and it acts, but it's not autonomous either. It requires a human to be in the car telling it exactly what to do. A car assembly robot, on the other hand, is autonomous, it exists in the physical world, it senses, it acts, and it has some goals. The goal is to assemble the car. A robotic fish is autonomous, it makes its own decisions about which way to go, it exists in the physical world, it has a sensor, it senses water, and it acts. But it's sort of debatable whether it actually has a goal. It sort of just seems to be there for entertainment. So I would say it's not a robot by this definition. BattleBots are robots that are used in competition to fight each other to the death. They exist in the physical world, but they tend not to be autonomous. The person who's operating it tends to be the one that's steering the robot around. Whether they have sensors or have goals, it's really debatable, but they are not autonomous, so by this definition, they're not really a robot. Finally, Astro Boy. Astro Boy's quite sophisticated, really. He's autonomous, he has sensors, he acts, he has goals, but unfortunately, Astro Boy does not exist in the physical world. He only exists on television, and so he's not a robot by this definition either. In the next topic, we'll build on Matarik's definition and talk about what a mobile robot is.